Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the summer series. It's the rundown with Caleb and Casey. Caleb is out of town for the summer. The rotating guest hosts just get better and better. We had Grandpa Dan on for episode 1. Jack Kumagai joins me for episode 2. We're diving into a new world on the rundown. UFC gets its first time really talked about. Jack Kumagai, big UFC fan, big friend of the pod as well. We go way back, all the way back to the Strive days at Elkhorn High. Jack, how are you doing today?
Doing good. It feels like when we did freshman football on Strive.
Freshman football, we did softball
We did softball.
districts as well.
Mm-hmm.
We did
The
a couple
scrimmage games.
sideline reporting gigs together that some went well, some didn't.
Hopefully this goes better.
This should go way better. So Jack is on, talk a lot of UFC. We're going to recap UFC 328, one of the best UFC cards I can remember for a decent bit, and then prep for UFC Freedom 250 at the White House outside, rain, shine, or snow. This event will go on. It'll be absolutely exciting. Hopefully, it's just as good, if not better, than 328. So I'm going to let Jack dive into UFC 328, kind of start with a little recap of, not everyone's been in the UFC world. Why was this event so big? What went so well? What went wrong at the same time?
A big fight here was Yaroslav Amosov is really, really good. He subs Joel Alvarez with a minute left in the second round. He's going to be a problem at the welterweight. Keep track of that because there's not a ton of grapplers at welterweight, it feels like. They're kind of strikers, and there's Islam at the top. But yeah, remember that name. He's going to be really, really good. He's special. And then, as the featured prelim of the card before the main card starts, is Ateba Gutierrez knocks out Ozzy Diaz. Another bit of can crushing. You've given one of the worst middleweights in the division versus one of the biggest hyped up prospects. He is Francis Ngannou with the punching power. That's what they want him to be. And he goes another round, another extra round. It takes him a minute into the second round to get the TKO KO finish. And then he went to a third round last time with what was supposed to be a can too. So another prospect, we're seeing them go later as they get into their UFC careers. And then to start off the main card, it was King Green versus Jeremy Stevens. On Unk, 36 plus, I believe. So it was a scrap. Jeremy Stevens actually got the submission, which was not what anyone anticipated because he's been out of the UFC. He's been in BKFC, if you know what that is, for a little bit. And then after that was a bigger fight that actually had some implications to the win. Sean Brady gets the three round victory over Joaquin Buckley because Buckley has no ground game at all. He has none, and it was pretty evident in the Kamaru Usman fight, and it's even more evident now that he's not going to be able to hang with the top guys at grappling. But Sean Brady now is back in the win column after losing to Michael Morales, so we'll see where that goes. I don't know. Neither of these guys really seem to be able to crack the top 5 and really stay there at this point. And then the last fight before the two co-main event title fights was Volkov versus Costa. Costa's been on surging, but he couldn't finish Volkov. So we'll see where that goes. Volkov is really, really good, and some people are picking him because he's 6'8", 6'9". He's a ginormous human, and Costa is pretty much a Major League Baseball player that chose to fight. He can throw a ball 100 miles an hour, and that translates to punching power. Crazy. He knocks out Derek Lewis in the last fight, who we'll talk about later. We'll see who picks what there. And then Volkov will probably get taken care of with a decent next fight because he's a favorite. And then we move on to Van versus Tyra, the fight of the night bonus. Each of them got, I believe, at least $100,000 per fight on top of their already purses there. And Van gets it done. You watched that fight too. We were there. That was one of the crazier fights I've seen, mostly just because it was the abuse Tyra could take and come back from win a round. I believe it was 2-2 going into the 5th round before the TKO happened. Van will be fighting Pantoja next. It's pretty much set in stone. I think the old guard is kind of out here at the flyweight because Moreno got beat. He got knocked out by Tyra and then beaten by decision by Loner Kavanaugh, who was ranked maybe 12 at the time. And then Joshua Van just keeps his streak alive. He may just be that good. Maybe he's got perfect counter wrestling and he can hold off Pantoja, but some people aren't sure. We'll see. And then the final fight of the night, Strickland Hamzat, the one we were all waiting for. This was it. As American fans, it seemed like we were always rooting for the loser here with these wrestler versus striker fights. I mean, I love Dustin Poirier. We didn't win against Islam. I like JDM. Didn't beat Islam. We like DDP. One of the worst fights I've ever seen in Hamzat Chimaev. Really bad. I mean, Volkanovski loses twice to Makhachev too. So it's kind of these Caucasus guys getting better of these American strikers or Australians that we like to watch. So it was fun. Going into it, it was kind of scary. I was very scared. I figured we might get subbed. And that first round was scary, really scary, because he was on his back for probably 4 of the 5 minutes of the fight. And then Sean did what he did, and he counter wrestled. He had Hamzat Chimaev, one of the most dominant grapplers ever, pulling guard in the second round. So, and then the third round he comes around, he wins that one too. So it's 2-1 going in. He gets beat up in the fourth, and so it's tied going into the fifth, 2-2. Most people agree that Sean won it, but it was split decision. I was bothered because Hamzat kind of went with the pressuring, staying on the cage at a range, but in my opinion, it was Sean was taking one to give 2 or 3 jabs, and maybe the jabs worked.
Without a doubt, and thank you for diving into that. I'm going to bounce it back to the prelims a little to talk about Yaroslav Amosov and Ateba Gutierrez, two guys that are kind of big names in the up and coming scene on the UFC. Where do you personally see, especially like in the different styles and how they're bringing the two up through the rankings, whereas we see Yaroslav already in the rankings and Ateba is slowly building himself up still. Where do you kind of see the top end for those guys being? Are these guys that can compete for championships? Where do you see these two kind of making it in the long run with the two different styles the UFC has taken and bringing them up?
Well, I'll start with Ateba. I don't think he's championship material to this point. It's just the better these guys get, the easier it is to avoid these one punch kind of one trick pony fighters. I'm going to take your head off or nothing else is going to happen. It's going to be boring, and we'll see. Derek
Oh
Lewis is
yeah.
able to make a boring kind of fight because he's able to eliminate that punching power, but other guys aren't. So we'll see some more really aggressive slime outs from Goudier, but those will be lower level guys. I don't really see him breaking in crazy, but Amislav is really, really good. Yaroslav is championship material for sure. I don't think recently anyone's been able to submit Neil Magny as fast as he was. In Magny's last fights, he loses to Amislav, of course. He beats Jake Matthews, who is good. He beats Dos Santos. He loses to Prates and gets knocked out, but Prates is really good. But and he gets knocked out by Morales, so he's been through the gauntlet. But he beat Mallet, who just beat Gilbert Burns in a main event. He went 3 rounds with Ian Machado Gary. He's been through the gauntlet of fights here. Everyone. Daniel Rodriguez, he lost to Rachmanov, but Yaroslav Amosov submitted him faster than the boogeyman, Rachmanov. So your favorite, where Caleb is actually right now, your
Yeah.
co-host in Kazakhstan, I believe. So going down the list, it's a really impressive win. He's already ranked, so he's ranked 14. He's higher up on the list than Ateba, and we'll see. I think they're very different level of prospects to this point.
If I give you the keys today to the UFC, what is kind of the spot you're looking for Yaroslav in for his next fight? Are you looking to push into that, Bilal coming off a loss recently, Leon Edwards range? Or are you going to kind of keep it slow and go with, a Bonfim, a Mallet, a Medic?
Well, Mallet is 12. The thing is, they moved Amosov up to 10 now. Amosov is
Hmm.
already 10. He would kill Buckley. He'd probably beat Usman. He would destroy Leon Edwards. He would destroy Bilal. I think really he's going to get one of these top 4. If I'm at Leon Edwards, there's no way I'm taking that fight. That is terrible. Usman, he could get a little proof. If Usman wins that fight, he should get a title shot because that proves he's still there. Bilal has any interest, and we'll see come tomorrow. Bilal's going to be probably lower than 10 at this point. It's done a 3-fight skid. JDM's too hurt probably after that protest fight, and Gary's going to get a title shot. So maybe Morales here at this point. but and no one's going to want to take those fights. He's a ginormous kid who has crazy power, and he knocked out Brady quick. So it's probably got to be one of Morales or Kamaru to this point, unless Bilal wants to take it. It's up to him. If he really
Bilal
wants to
may
take
not
it,
have a choice.
I don't know. I don't. It'd be fun, but none of these other guys really. Bonfim, Mallet, Medic, MVP would have a tough time. Daniel Rodriguez just got out of prison in Mexico. That's a whole different thing. So we'll see. It's going to be tough. It's just tough with these guys who are so good and already at 10 to get them a fight because none of these guys really want to take that. And if I'm a top 5, I'm not taking that unless I have to. So you got to come off
Yeah.
a loss. And plus, a lot of these guys are coming off wins. Morales, Prates, and Gary all have wins, so they're not going to fight down. It's probably going to be between JDM or Bilal to keep it, but we'll see. Or if the UFC really hates Leon Edwards, they make him fight, and they give him four finishes in a row on his career. But whatever. For Gutier or Ateba, I think it's Ateba Gutier. He
Yeah.
is a middleweight. You can't give him anyone in the rankings. Ikram Aliskerov is 15. He's not great. That could be something interesting, but for now, keep him lower. Keep him can crushing for a little bit more. Maybe get him step up, but he's really not destroying cans like he should be for what the type of prospect he is. So
Yeah. I mean, Delidze's on a 2 decision slide as well, so
yeah, I still
that's
think
another name that maybe it's a way to warm up the fan base to him, like a name that it is decently known kind of to the public, like, hey, we're serious about this guy. Here's a well-known name that's struggling versus our young guy that we want to push, that we want to really put out there.
yeah. My fear with Delidze is that Delidze might beat him. And there you go.
Yeah,
I think Aliskerov could do it. Aliskerov got destroyed by Robert Whitaker. He's still in the rankings at 185. So but he destroyed Aliskerov quickly, and then he got destroyed by Hamza. So they might have passed him by at this point, the competition. So that'd be an interesting one. But for now, yeah, I would keep him out of the rankings in general.
yeah, without a doubt. We are going to bump into prepping for UFC Freedom 250 now. White House setting, it's going to be outdoors. So there is that possibility of rain. And I've, seen some videos of some camps going out there and being like, we're getting the mats wet or we're practicing outside and stuff like that. They said no matter what the weather is, unless it is lightning, the fights will go on. How do you mentally prepare or physically prepare because there's a lot of different guys, when we get to a Michael Chandler who wants to stand and bang compared to a Bo Nickel who's a Olympic level wrestler in the rain, this is going to be 2 completely different bouts. How would you approach it as a coach to where, hey, it's going to be downpour? How do you kind of work with these guys to prep for all these conditions that you can get in DC?
Well, the rain, we'll see. It probably will get a little bit wet. We'll see where that goes. There is a little bit of a cover. I don't know if you've seen the picture of it of the
Hmm.
fights of Lawn. We'll see how much that makes a difference. But from what I've heard from a lot of interviews, is guys really aren't doing anything different for the most part. They're kind of just hoping the UFC can figure it out, maybe tarp it over. It doesn't ruin the aesthetic of the event, but yeah, you can't really start training because that also opens up injuries, and camps are the biggest place where injuries happen. So I know from an interview from Sugar Sean, he said he's not training any different. He's going to take Zahabi, mostly because I don't think he sees Zahabi grappling too. That's might be part of it, but
Yeah.
it will neutralize grappling more than it will neutralize striking if it's wet and slippery. So
Yeah. And with that, let's hop into this fight card breakdown. We're going to start it from the bottom, work our way up to the 2 title fights, an interim and an actual title fight to end it off. We're going to start with Diego Lopez, who's number 2 right now in the featherweight rankings, 27-8, coming off a tough loss to Volk where, man, he could not get his hands on the championship no matter how hard he tried. He's got Steve Garcia, number 9, 19-5, is coming off a win versus Onama. Jack, who do you got in this first bout?
I think I think it's going to be Lopez, and I don't think the odds are fair for to Diego. He's gone 50 minutes with the best featherweight ever, probably, maybe Ilya. But regardless, he's gone 50 minutes with him. He has so much experience. Then he knocks out John Silva, who is probably the biggest prospect there. And we'll see. He's going to fight Volk soon, and he might knock out Volk. So Diego Lopez is really, really good, and he's got a chin from hell on him. I mean, if you could see the Gene Silva fight or John Silva fight, he was getting pieced right before he knocked him out, and he just eating him and moving forward with this little thing, this little tuck. So I have that. I don't think a minus 130 is fair. Garcia is good. He's solid. His wins aren't as crazy as Volk's. Onama, it's not a crazy win. Nelson, really not a crazy win. The Choi and Costa wins are aging really well, but everything else really doesn't show. He knocked out Hooper, unfortunately. I love Hooper. Unfortunately, a lot of people knock out Hooper. But yeah, maybe. It's possible. Steve Garcia's got to land something really crazy to put him away, though, and you got to put Diego Lopez away. Plus, Diego Lopez is really, really good on the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to take Diego Lopez as well. I think Lopez, I mean, like you said, he's just gone against the best and he knows the caliber that he needs to be at to compete for a championship and he wants to put himself back in that spot. Mavzar is going to get the next shot at the title. That's kind of what it seems like. So Volk's going to have to go through Mavzar. Lopez wants to position himself to where if Mavzar loses, hey, I'm next. I want it. I want the trilogy. I want that third fight. You have no one else to give it to. I'm still out here collecting wins. Eventually, you're just going to have to give him that title fight. You can't keep feeding him guys down the rankings, down the leaderboards. He's a guy that competes at a high level, he gets knockouts, he gets submissions, he can quite literally do whatever you ask him to, and he doesn't go away easy. And a guy that a lot of the fans root for as well. I think it's going to be tough for Steve Garcia, but we'll talk about later how just because something's tough doesn't mean it's impossible at White House 250. I'll tell you that much. It's just too much of a jump for me for Garcia to make. Onama is decent, he's solid, but I mean, Onama isn't going to go more than 2 rounds maybe with Volk, and Lopez has gone 10. So it's just not. It's not the same playing field yet, and when you get to a one-on-one combat sport like this, it's not a basketball where you know you can go and see UMBC win in the first round. It's not baseball where Troy can advance to the CWS. It's a very different style, and that's what we love about the sport so much. Then we head into Bo Nickel, Kyle Dawkins next. Bo Nickel is kind of the USA sweetheart of the card, it feels like, because I mean, technically Justin Gaethje fights under the US flag. The other one is Hokit and Lewis, but they're two very different sides of the media to where one fan base loves Lewis, hates Hokit. The other side loves Hokit, hates Lewis. So if you had to pick one, it's probably Bo Nickel. He was at Penn State wrestling for 4 years, competed for the U.S. in the Olympics. He's 120-3 with 3 Division I national championships for Penn State. And then you've got Kyle Dawkins, who he's crafty, he can grapple. He's coming off a win against GM3 in the first round, so it doesn't actually count as a win because he never got to the third round of Mearshart. Jack, dive into this one a little bit. Is Bo Nickel the USA sweetheart? Is he going to win?
A lot of people do hate Bo Nickel. I like Bo Nickel. I think he's good. The one thing about this fight is I originally thought that looking at his fights, he knocked out Michel Pereira. He knocked out GM3. Congrats. A lot of people are knocking out. He submitted GM3, but
Yeah.
a lot of people are knocking out Mearshart. These wins aren't crazy. He lost to Dolidze in 2022. No contest against Holland. Whatever. He kind of was bad, and then he had a rebirth, and he's been winning fights, but I don't know. I don't think his grappling's there because the main thing about this fight is Nichols fought grappler. He beat Brundage with a submission. That one's not very hard. As I was saying, cans. Brundage is kind of a can at this point. But then he fights Craig and has one of the most boring fights ever, and that's kind of what turned people off about him. But the approach was, I'm a grappler and you're a grappler, but you're better at jiu-jitsu than me. Craig submitted Ankalaev, a UFC champion at one point. And so he went 15 minutes after standing and punching really poorly and kicking sometimes. It wasn't very good. And then he loses to DeRitter after that. DeRitter's, there's levels. He showed levels to the striking. But then he comes back out and knocks out Vieira. But the common denominator here is all these guys are grapplers, so they're consistent with their grappling and their threats. And where you saw what happened when he doesn't have to worry about getting subbed. He went at Brundage and was upset about himself for not submitting him after 8.5 minutes, 7.5 minutes. So this is the first fight in probably a year and a half or 2 years where Bo Nickel won't go into it and say, if I shoot a takedown here, he's going to latch up a guillotine really quick and sub me. So we could see Bo Nickel reminding people who he is and really showing the wrestling off here. And I think that's where I was originally going to go Dawkins, but I kind of forgot Nickel is that good on the ground. So we'll see. Well, and plus he's improved. He did get that head kick. So yeah.
He may not have head movement, but he's got a head kick, so you got to start somewhere. Yuri still doesn't have full head movement, so it's all right. It's the names that he's beat as well in wrestling. He's got a Dan Hodge trophy for the best wrestler in the nation for a reason. Three D1 titles at Penn State. You don't just win that by going out there and being decent or being good. He is truly one of the greatest wrestlers in Penn State history, and Penn State has a lineage of great wrestlers. He knocked off the number one guy on his way to a D1 title twice in his career, and once was as a sophomore. Like, he goes out there and he wins and he's super aggressive. He just wasn't ready for the fighting aspect of UFC when he first started out. He was a great grappler, but he's trying to make that change into fighting. And sometimes he was, going to boxing and relying on it too much. Sometimes he was relying on wrestling too much and just not being dynamic. And you hope by now, especially going into a fight against Dawkins, who's a ground heavy guy, that he's got that dynamic feel to him now. And he's got that experience to go out there. Against my better judgment, I'm taking Bo Nickel as well. I have been kind of adamant that he's not what people hope to be, although he is, because of what he did at Penn State, he's beloved by wrestling fans who watch MMA. I just don't think Dawkins is the right matchup for him. Like, you're giving a guy his best strength. It's like if I went to Aroldis Chapman and I said, your goal is to strike this guy out throwing fastballs. Perfect. That's what Chapman's best at. And I think Bo Nickel will get it done in pretty short amount of time. If I had to be honest, I could see a round two submission, honestly. And Dawkins knows how to get out of him, but Bo Nickel is just going to take control. If he doesn't get a submission, he's just going to kill him in the ground game. And it's just going to be an ugly unanimous decision.
That's kind of where I
Heading
might be at. It might be we might get the back-to-back Islam versus JDM, and then another fight of DDP versus Shemaev. That might be what this is.
Yeah.
At a lower level. And another thing, the secret of the UFC is that American wrestling's kind of dead in the UFC. They don't translate like they used to. DC came in with that background and he dominated, but that was 5-10 years ago. So I wouldn't put too much on that he's a championship wrestler. Maybe Gable Stevens will turn around, but we'll see.
Yeah.
But you can
former WWE member Gable Stevenson.
Yeah.
That is. I always think that's hilarious. I thought he was going to make it in WWE.
And an NFL player.
Yeah, he's been everywhere. Next, we're going to head into lightweight. We've got Maurizio Ruffi, number 9, 13-2, coming off a win over Fiziev. Feels like everyone is. And then Michael, where's Conor McGregor Chandler, is still in the rankings somehow, even though he's coming off a loss to Paddy Pimblett. He has 2 fights since 2022 when he held out for McGregor and lost them both. Hasn't won since May of 22. So he's been away from the game and he's been out of the game. Is this where he gets his get back and calls out McGregor, or is he hoping McGregor loses as well?
This is his worst opponent in the UFC, which is crazy because he has, 7 fights in the UFC? If you think Hoofy's worse than Hooker, and I think he probably about the same level, and look what he did to Dan Hooker. I don't like when people say he's only won 2 fights in the UFC. He's fought Charles twice, Dustin, Gaethje. I mean, those are his losses. He's only lost to champions, interim champions, and Hall of Famers. So, and then a lot of people are saying he's just going to sit there with his head kind of ducked down, and he's going to let Huffy have his way with him. I don't know. I'm kind of thinking we're going to see something similar to the first round of Chandler versus Pimblett. People people forget that he controlled Pimlet for the first round. He had a good round. He took him down and he controlled him on the fence for a while. And Pimlet is really good on the ground. People thought he was going to beat Gaethje by submission, but and then BSD was able to quickly finish Hoofy. So I'm kind of leaning. Everyone's leaning towards Huffy. I think the numbers right now show like a minus 400 favorite, but this would be my underdog of the card. Would be Michael Chandler here to get it done. My only problem with this is that his submission game isn't great. He's got more knockouts than submissions, and he's supposed to be this wrestler, but his BJJ is just questionable. It's definitely not as good as BSD, but he's not as strong. But
And honestly, I think this one means more to Chandler than it does to Hoofy. Chandler needs that McGregor fight still. It is his one thing. He's trying to collect the infinity stones of losses to legendary UFC fighters. And it's the one that has evaded him for the longest time. And now we know McGregor's coming back. Chandler needs this, man. The D lineman on oxygen, that's Chandler and McGregor right there. He needs it more than he needs anything. And I think he's just going to want it more. He's fighting in front of the White House. He needs to face McGregor next. I just don't know where he can win, though. Because at the same time, Hoofy is just going to be very solid in his aspects of the game. Chandler is kind of going to focus on one thing. Like you said, for being this, wrestler, he's not actually the greatest BJJ guy. And when you're out of the game for 2 years, now it's starting to get worse and you're starting to get rusty. Yes, you're still in camps and stuff, but a lot of these guys have to lose to learn things about themselves. And when you don't have that opportunity or win to realize, okay, this is strong, now I need to focus on this. When you're just straight up out of the game, you're just training against dummies, basically. And we'll see how that'll translate to the next level as we head into what could be the most entertaining post-fight press conference of all time. Depending on it doesn't matter who wins. You've got
yeah,
heavyweights going at it. You've got two of the loudest mouth heavyweights going at it. Derek Lewis, Josh Hokett, who's on this quick run to fame, coming off a 2-month rest after an absolute war is unheard of in the UFC. Jack, will that hurt him? Or will he keep it going and kind of put his name out there in the title contender?
I don't like how small he is. You know, he's 235 and he's got like a 5-inch reach disadvantage. And Blades is not Derek Lewis. They're both kind of old, but that's kind of the only comparison there. This one's hard. The rest of the fights really aren't that hard to pick for the most part. We have a lot of favorites, heavy favorites, and I think Hokett is the favorite. I don't know. I think Lewis can get it. I honestly think Lewis might be able to get it done because Hokett didn't look great at times against Blades, and Blades isn't fast or as powerful. So, and he's going to get hit. Hokett's going to get himself hit, whether he likes it or not, whether that's in the plan or not. He said in an interview that's not the plan. Well, of course, it's not the plan. But Lewis is really good still. I didn't like how he gave up against Waldo, but I think Waldo would also beat Hokett. So I'm going to go with Lewis, and I'm probably going to eat my words when he gets him out of there in like a minute after he blitzes him. But for now, I'm going to go with, or not Hokett, sorry, Lewis, if I said that. But I'm going to go with Lewis.
I don't hate that pick at all. If I get Hokett coming off a full rested training camp after what he just went through against Blades, I would have more confidence in my pick. Now I'm going to lean Hokett just because of what I saw Lewis do against Waldo. It's to a point where it looked like sometimes when he got hit and hit hard, he just didn't want to respond to it. He just kind of curled up and pushed himself back more and more, and that built up over the fight. And that's Hokett's thing. Like, he is not going to ground and pound you. He's going to shit talk you. He's going to flip you off in the ring, and then he's going to sprint at you full speed and swing. And even though he's not the strongest, like, he causes damage to guys, he doesn't have that put out power because he is so light at 235. I just don't know of 2 months where it looked like your entire face was swollen and bloody, and you were quite literally, as well as he was doing late into rounds, like you can't just do that again to your body in 2 months and have a successful training camp as well. So I almost wonder if he's banking off the back of the last training camp, resting early and then pushing again. Um, I, I just don't know if Lewis can take it. Truly, I think sometimes you don't even have to hit him that hard. If you just keep hitting him, he rolls over sometimes. Now, he is the guy that finds a way to just win and do the most random stuff. We always hear by falling piano. And sometimes I think Lewis is one of those guys. He just finds ways to win, whether it's a random submission or he's about to get knocked out and then knocks you out himself. Derek Lewis wins and takes his pants off. That's kind of where we're at in his career. But coming towards the end, lost to Waldo. Hokett's kind of got all the momentum in the world, you could say. He's got a really
Yep.
big win. He talks a lot of shit and he can back it up. So I think Hokett gets this one done. Um, if this goes the distance for either of them, we are seeing two blobs laying on the mat right at the end of it, not being able to move.
Yeah. Hokitt gassed out in 2 minutes. Everyone in his camp thought that 2 minutes would be enough to finish him, and he landed the shots that he thought would finish him, and he just didn't go down. And then he really gassed out, but he got lucky because so did Blades. And Blades is a ginormous human that gasses out quick. I really hate Derek Lewis's last fight. It was a
Yeah,
step in jab, and he just falls over and gives up. It was like he was hurt or something. And he said he had back issues. He hasn't done something that bad in a while, so I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt and go with Lewis for now.
not a bad pick at all. We head into the next fight. Three more to go in this card. Sean O'Malley, number three, 19-3. He's coming off a win over Song Yadong, which is actually starting to look pretty decent. There's Ayman Zahabi, number six, 14-2, also coming off a win. It's Chito Vera, though. What do you
It's not
got?
a good. It's not. I have
It is a
Sean.
win, but
This is one of the easier. This and the main event are one of the easier. I believe one of the easier fights that you can safely put your money on. If you want to store your cash on a big minus favorite, Suga's probably the guy. He's bigger. He's got 3 inches of height on him. He's got about 4 inches of reach, 3.5. He's even got longer legs. So, and he is dynamic. And if he gets taken down, I don't think Sahabi's not Marab. He's not going to finish him. And he's not going to bully him around. Well, they're going to start striking the first round. I think if Zahabi, when it starts to go poorly after about the first, second minute, he's going to maybe shoot and start pressing up against the wall at least. And from there, Sugar's just going to keep landing strikes. And the thing with Sugar is he can do both. He can volume strike you or he can power punch you. We saw him do it to Eddie Wineland back in the day. I think that's what this finish might end up being. Just a straight down the middle after he beats you up, and then it's just over. Welcome to the Sugar Show. So,
yeah, I mean, that's not crazy to say. When you look at the number breakdown by grappling, it just looks like it's going to be non-existent. Suga just does not grapple, period, and he has double the takedown averages per 12. So statistically, we are going to see a third of a takedown per 15 minutes. So if it goes all three rounds, we're going to see a third of a takedown in this. Um, and not a submission. There's no chance of a submission. If you want safe money, you take Suga and you take no submission possible. I actually think there's not a crazy chance that Sean gets this by TKO. Zahabi can take it a little bit better than some other guys. He's got a decent chin on him, but I think Sean's just going to overwhelm him with significant strikes. And it's I'm not going to say it's going to be to the level of Tyra Van, but I think the way that they're not going to want to take this to the ground is going to look like a Tyra Van or a Holloway fight where they just want to stand and bang. The better of the two is going to win in boxing. Like, you might as well hold this one in a boxing ring, not a UFC octagon, because it'll be interesting to see, like, if they adjust to what, like, each other's game plans and try and throw in, okay, we're going to go for a sneaky takedown because he has no clue it's coming. Um, Zahabi has solid defense against it, though. He just doesn't utilize it himself. I just don't see Sean doing that. I could see Zahabi doing it just like, hey, you have no clue this is coming. Maybe we need a couple quick points in the second to push us over the edge. I've got Sean. Like you said, this isn't crazy. I'm excited for the walkout of this more so than much of the
Yeah.
actual fight.
Yeah. I think it'll be fun. It's a hobby. The thing is, Sean does have, he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Sean has a
Yeah,
ground game. He cannot wrestle. And it's probably because he's so cut down at 5'11" to make 135. That's crazy.
yeah,
But yeah, and then as a hobby, he won a split decision against Vera, one of the worst fighters at 135 at this point. He's just washed. And then he beat up an old Waldo last year. But really, the numbers, the MMA math doesn't look good for him.
yeah.
So I'll take O'Malley by third round finish or decision. I think Zahabi's going to be able to stay. He'll be able to, his chin will keep him in it. So guys with chins can stand up to Sean. They can stand up to his fist against their face for a good 15 minutes. And that's about the end of it. It'd be kind of neat if he got the finish, but at this point, the
Yeah,
guys are too good.
I could see a TKO here, like late, middle, third round, where it's
Yeah.
just he gets overwhelmed, he's running out of oxygen, like not necessarily thrown in the towel, but kind of like you just see his body break down and give up on him.
Yeah. Just crumple over and it's over.
Yeah, as we head into the first title bout of the night, and it's not even a real title, it's for an interim belt as we sit here and wait for um, Tom Aspinall to regain his eyesight. He may just go legally blind, and the guy who got away with it now gets a chance to take that belt back against what seems to be one of the most physically imposing and dangerous UFC fighters we've seen in a long time. Of course, it is Alex Pereira going up against Cyril Gahn. Pereira is moving up a weight class after getting his belt back against Ankalaev and proving that, all right, it was just a one fight loss. Like, there's no need to make a big deal out of this. Just slime him out and move on. And Cyril Gahn is proving once again why the gloves should be changed for the UFC.
Um, thing down, I didn't know they were the same height. They will not be the same weight. I doubt it.
No.
Allegedly, Cyril Gahn's 250. He's not at the limit, which wasn't big. I think most of Pereira's extra mass has been probably mostly fat and has probably gone to his lower half, which shouldn't be too much of a problem. I'm not super worried about him. He doesn't fight fast. He's not like a fast moving guy anyway. So I don't think it's going to really take his game away. I'm leaning Pereira. I don't like Gahn. I don't think he has any pop. He had to finish Tai Tuivasa with an illegal back of the head strike because he's a dirty fighter. As you mentioned before, he's trying to use Tom's head as a bowling ball. And he's done it before. He's in that same fight camp as Nasruddin Mavov, and they're all kind of cheaters. But he is still big. He's a ginormous human, and he punches hard enough. This will not go to the ground. That is one thing for sure. Even more than the last one, this will not go. Gahn got destroyed by an old fat Jones, quickly on the ground, and Pereira has no interest in going there either. He's too awkward and too big. The reach and the height aren't a difference. The weight apparently won't be too much of a difference. I think Pereira's walked around 245. I don't think either of them are going to cut weight. They'll be healthy, and we saw Alex knock out a fighter in Israel Adesanya in his prime who was a better striker than Gahn. He was quicker than Gahn, smarter than Gahn, and he was able to keep him in front of him and without getting knocked out the first time. So, and the second time was a trap, and the second time he had him hurt. But I'm not going to doubt Alex Pereira again after what he did to Ankalaev.
Yeah. And the only reason I took a little bit to kind of sit through this one was because I went back and watched the Cyril Gahn Tom Aspinall fight, and Gahn didn't even look that bad.
No,
It's just he poked him pretty deep in the eye early on in the fight, and then dominated a little bit, and then stuck about a third of his finger into Tom Aspinall's eye. Um, After that, and that fight was no called, and there's not much you can really do about that. But I mean, Gahn didn't look bad at all, and Aspinall is a dominant champion. I'm unsure of how Pereira's going to do with the new move up. It's always interesting to see it, especially with a jump this big. But he's such a big guy that, it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But maybe with it being a new experience, he has struggled with that before. We saw it with the Ankalaev fight where it's a very new style of fighting to him where he hasn't seen it much and he struggles with the first time, figures it out the second time. I could 100% see something like that happening here where he loses a close one and then he comes out in about 6, 8 months and he does it and goes out and beats him. So wouldn't be crazy if it goes either way. To me, really hopeful Pereira wins it. I would love to see Pereira versus Aspinall. I just think Aspinall might be that good at
Yeah,
heavyweight right now.
for sure. For sure. Prayer, we'll see. Really depends on how well he translates. Power translates. We saw with Ilya, as we're going to talk about. Power translates even more the bigger you get, unless you get too fat. And Pereira looks a bit fat. So
Yeah.
that's my only concern. I really think the power will stay up there. I think Gon's going to be scared of it. So he's going to win striking exchanges, and there's not going to be much grappling going on. And Pereira has decent takedown defense. So I don't know. I'm going to go Pereira. It's really, really tight. This is probably one of the closest fights on the card. But I'll go Pereira by knockout in the second or third round.
I to me, I think this one goes to decision. I think both of them are going to kind of take it methodically slow against each other because neither want to gas out. Pereira doesn't want to overdo it. He doesn't know how to put himself in this weight yet. Even though he has the power, I think he's still worried to some point, like, okay, how does my energy translate? How does my movement translate? He's learning that through camp, but you really only find out in an actual fight how it works. I'm going to take Pereira by unanimous decision. So, speaking of interim belts, Justin Gaethje, the interim champion at lightweight, has the unfortunate job of taking down Ilia Topuria, who stays at lightweight and does not get the Islam fight just yet. Just yet. Man, this one looks near impossible. We've been playing Burning Heart from Rocky for about 6 months now, nonstop. And it feels like that. You know, Rocky 4, he goes up against the Russian that can't be beat, and he finds a way to do it. That's kind of how Gaethje's got to get it done. Now, we saw it with Strickland. The good news is we saw it with Strickland, so we do know it's possible. But Topuria, 17-0, coming off a win against Charles Oliveira, definitively. Gaethje, 27-5. He got a win versus Paddy Pimblett. Pretty solid win, but he's arguably going up against a guy that could go down as one of the best UFC fighters of all time and in his prime.
If Ilya retires today, he's probably top 3 all time,
Yeah.
regardless. And he's not. And he's gonna put Justin Gaethje palms up in about 30 seconds, maybe a minute. I don't see this fight going past 2 minutes. It's just gonna be so bad. It's gonna be so violent. Gaethje's gonna do that, kind of walking forward with his hand up, trying to press him. He's gonna throw one big right. He's gonna miss because Ilya's small. Ilya's gonna slip real easy, and is gonna look very similar to Charles Oliveira. And Ilya felt bad about doing that to Charles Oliveira, and now they allegedly don't like each other. So there's just, and if you want to talk about the ways they fight, the grappling, Ilya's a better grappler, even if Gaethje's an American wrestler. I don't think MMA grappling is going to be better. Boxing is way better. Striking is way better. Maybe better kicks for Gaethje. But even then, what's it going to matter? He's 5'7". He's really, really tight high guard. He's not going to get head kicked like Jai Herbert kicked him. I really don't. It's 100-1 chance he wins this fight, and it would be because he just swarms Ilya. But even if he swarms Ilya, you've got to, first 25 minutes, you're going to avoid Ilya's hands the whole time. It's not, no way. Zero chance.
We joke around about, Gaethje could get it done. All I think back to is Marvel Endgame, where there's one scenario that they can actually beat Thanos, and it's 1 in 1,000,000. That's kind of the situation Gaethje's in. At least with Strickland, there was a path to victory, and there were flaws. And Strickland has good takedown defense, so he can compete a little bit. And he's got the jab teeth that's going to score him points. It's going to keep him ahead at times, and that's how he won. You look at Topuria versus Gaethje, and it's what box doesn't Topuria have checked vastly better? Not even slightly better. It's vastly better, and that's nothing against Gaethje. I mean, he's interim champ for a reason. He is arguably the second best in the class by far. You just have Topuria there. He's kind of fighting this to put himself in a position that, hey, if Ilya moves up to fight Islam, I fought decent enough that I get a chance at this new belt opening. other than that, I don't really know where we're looking at going in this fight. Ilya Taburia, I'm going to go to round two, knockout, just disgusting, vile things happening to Gaethje. Um, he's coming
Yeah.
off back-to-back decisions and then the last second getting KO'd by Holloway. So I don't know how
I mean,
he's
MMA, do the MMA math about it. Do the MMA. How did Justin Gaethje do against a 150 Max Holloway? He got slimed and he got beaten up for
he got
5 rounds.
withered.
He got withered and he got destroyed. And how did Ilya do against Max at 145? He destroyed him.
Yeah,
And the height, is he going to matter? They're going to be the same weight. I think Ilya walks around up probably even heavier than Gaethje outside of camp. So, man. And then after this fight, they're going to give him Arman. And I think Ilya's going to slime Arman too in the same fashion. It'll be harder. I'll give it that, but it's going to be. I really don't see anyone giving him a tough fight until he fights Makachev, and that has to be at 170 because he's going to be a little bit too small at 170. But it's just one of the greatest fighters ever. So kind of like watching Mike Tyson. Just enjoy it.
yeah.
He's going to
You
kill
just got to
everybody.
sit back and watch. We're going to keep it on the UFC topic for a little bit longer, a little bit more fun. If you guys have listened into the summer series last year, me and Caleb brought in what is called the Factual Five, where we bring in a topic and we list our top five rankings going back and forth on what we think it is. We've done everything from, I believe we've done ice cream, we've done Iowa State jersey combos for football, we've done Star Wars characters. Jack, we are going to do top five places we want to see a UFC fight. So I'm going to let you start off at your number five. I'll go to my number five, four, four. We'll go back and forth on it. There's a lot of places to pick from now with this White House opening to maybe an outdoor scene for the UFC. And maybe we're not going to Vegas or UAE every other week. Give me your top five, starting at number five.
My first one, my number 5 was the Tokyo Dome with Horiguchi fighting Cape. Cape. That would be awesome. It opens up a whole new section of the UFC fan base in Japan. Those people are insane about their athletes. I mean, if you go to Japan, you see Shohei everywhere. If you can get a star like Tyra was going to be, hopefully, that's a whole crazy new market. You go there once, twice a year. You make a ton of money, and they love it. I mean, baseball, you've seen what the baseball games are like. I guarantee you it'd be even crazier with fighting people. So that's my 5.
Yeah, I like it. Bobby Dahlbeck's a huge name in Japan right now for what he's
Yeah,
doing for the baseball season. I
exactly.
just had to shout out my guy.
Yeah.
My number
Shout out
five,
Bobby Dahlbeck.
I went a return to Omaha. They've had two fights here, 2008 and 2012. They had fight nights. Obviously, I'm going to be kind of particular, but I think like a Memorial Stadium would be sick. So they did it at the Omaha Auditorium before, but Memorial Stadium would be cool. CHI Center would be cool. Two big venues. I mean, CHI holds March Madness every year. They can hold the people for it. They can sell it pretty well. It's a decent location. It's in the middle of everything. So I would love to see it. We would be there. Probably not because the tickets would be infinite, but
Yeah. All right. My 4. Well, it seems we've had some similar ones, but I think you're not on Times Square yet on your list. I'm at 4. Put a big old octagon in the middle of Times Square. Shoot it with the background there. Not crazy. Not as cool as even the White House, but I think it'd be a good one to go at for lower dream fight.
yeah, that one's not bad. My issue is how are you going to stop New York traffic? It's impossible. It took them 10 hours to get employees into the game for the Knicks game tonight, which is it's a really close game right now. I went with Santiago Bernabeu Stadium, which is Real Madrid in Spain. I think hosting Ilya outdoors in Santiago Bernabeu, one of the best stadiums in all of Europe that sells more than any other stadium in Europe. Like they're going to come out for their own, especially when he's one of the best fighters of all time in a championship fight. Imagine if you put Makachev versus Ilya in Bernabeu. That'd be fantastic. Or Arman. I think it'd be absolutely insane, if you put him in a situation in Spain in front of his home crowd. He wants to do it. He came out to a soccer game with the UFC belt earlier in the season and he held it up for everyone. It was awesome to see. The fans want it. He deserves it with what he's done so far, so I'd love to see it.
I think that does happen eventually. That's pretty
Yeah.
realistic. It's not crazy to do. It wouldn't be super hard. It's just outdoors. And if this goes well, it gets another reason to take an outdoor fight. But moving on to my three, I had the Giza Pyramid Complex. Throw it just
Ooh.
like the boxing. Yeah. Yeah, right in front of the pyramids. Isn't that cool? They did it kind of with the boxers with Usyk, and that was cool, but I want it closer. I want that like between the Sphinx and the pyramids. Put it right there. I want it right next to the fires the whole time you can see it. But that would be my number three. That's probably less doable as opposed to obviously yours, but that would be really awesome.
I like that one a lot. I think it'd be sick if they like walk out of the Sphinx or like walk around the Sphinx to enter. Like that'd be a
Yeah.
super cool shot. It's almost like WWE at that point.
They
Like the
could walk out of the
walkouts are just
pyramids.
yeah. That would be absolutely hardcore, dude.
Yeah, you could hear Ilya's walkout song from the pyramids.
My number three, it's very feasible, and it's honestly where I think they would go next in the U.S. It's AT&T Stadium in Arlington. I'm going to be biased as a Big 12 fan. It's a great place to be. They have more seats than you could possibly imagine, and if anyone likes money, it's Jerry Jones. He knows how to sell things. He likes money. Just don't ask him to compete in the playoffs. It's pretty simple as that. There's no playoffs in the UFC, so it's just straight up one fight. Maybe the main card's going to be terrible, but man, if the prelims are good, Jerry, Dana, take your money and be happy.
Let's just a let's just promo to rip Jerry Jones.
I gotta find a way to
That's
rip
all that
people.
was. All right, you ruined this for me. My number two pick, you did, but I have Memorial Stadium as a Husker fan. That'd be so doable. It's so doable. If they can do the other stuff there, if they can do a volleyball game, you can do a UFC fight. Interestingly enough, I believe Gaethje's first UFC fight was at Pinnacle, so it was
Really?
close. Yeah, he knocked out Michael Johnson, I believe. He's saying he was also still fighting. They're both kind of unk now, but yeah, Memorial Stadium would be a great location. It would fill out. I guarantee you, Dana White doesn't really know where that is, so we got to get the word out. But that would be awesome.
Hopefully this podcast will air like right. They'll like project it onto the White House, and he comes out and he's like, "Next location, we're going wherever these guys say."
Exactly. From Giza to Lincoln, Nebraska.
Yeah.
All right. What was your two,
And
Case?
my number two, Honolulu, Hawaii. Give me a Max Holloway. I don't care if it's a fight night. Imagine fight night on a beach, the Hawaii setting behind them, or the new Hawaii football stadium would be sick. Give one to Hawaii. It's a great fighting fan base. They've got Holloway there. Give them a chance while they still have it. They're going to keep producing guys if you put them out in front. I
Yeah.
don't care if you do it in American Samoa or in Honolulu, Hawaii. I think Honolulu would be super cool. I think there's a ton of cool backdrops to do it around there. If this works out and you can find kind of lock down a couple days where it's not going to rain, I think it would be absolutely lovely to have in Honolulu.
Yeah. And you have Olberg, who is the what, 205 champion now.
Mm-hmm.
He can hold it down there. Personality, not great. Not great for selling, but you have Max that you can put Max in the co-main, give him maybe give him Ilya at 155 again, give him a chance, something like that, to keep bringing up the main event of the White House. But give him something he could destroy. Give him another UFC 300 moment, and there you go. You got a new fan base, just like I was talking about in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at my one, I think we have the same one, the same number
Yeah,
one
probably.
slot. We definitely do. The Coliseum in Rome. Yeah, that would be awesome. And they're talking about it, and I think it might happen. It's just so hard to get around those really ancient. They gotta be careful around all that stuff. It could easily break. There is an area it looks like they could fit a little octagon in there. Really, not much of a fan base could be there. It would mostly be like Fight Island, but really cool version of Fight Island. But could you imagine the scenes of a knockout in the Coliseum? That's where it all started for fighting, pretty much, for the fighting for sport. So that's my number one of all time.
Yeah, it's my number one as well. You hit on it. It's kind of a callback to your origins, if you will. And, you know, like you said, there's not going to be much of a fan base there. I think it'd be cool if they had like the area around it, kind of like they had fans all out in the streets. That'd be awesome. And then they kind of shut down the main Coliseum and just had the fighters, the media, and people like that around there. But like, imagine having a fight in the evening in the Coliseum, and then you go out in front of all the Coliseum and you've got like a little press area that would be absolutely amazing to have. Yeah, it just had to be number one. And that was the first thing I thought of when I laid this out. I had a couple other
Yeah.
ideas, but you got to do it. And we're going to dive into everyone's favorite segment. Jack, the three for three. It's your first time around. Three good things, one bad thing. We'll same kind of alternating back and forth. I'll let you lead it off with your bad thing for the week.
My bad thing is the weather for UFC 250.
Yeah,
It could be bad. And a lot of people are saying this could totally flop and be ruined. And that's terrifying. But that's my bad thing. It could rain. Thunder would shut it all down. Maybe they're gonna die out there. If it's raining, you get the what ifs. What if Gaethje didn't slip and get palmed up in 3 minutes? But
yeah,
you know, that's my bad thing.
yeah. That's a very good one to have, and it's a very realistic one. My bad thing is the Brendan Sorsby saga and what will happen in the future with it. The injunction of Brendan Sorsby to where his court case gets moved back to February 2nd, which, in case you were wondering, the national championship, January 25th. So as of now, Brendan Sorsby is eligible for college football. Thank you, a Lubbock judge. I don't hate Texas Tech for this. It's the system itself. The NCAA needs to step in. We need to figure this out. Hunter Deckers is somewhere throwing up his hands because he also bet on himself and basically lost his college career. But hey, man, it got Iowa State a couple good seasons. So Hunter, thank you for your sacrifice, but just start a lawsuit and call it good.
You weren't paying Hunter 5-10 million though.
Hunter was spending 5-10 million.
Apparently he was. Maybe he was getting paid 5-10 million. Maybe
Maybe
he.
Iowa
Maybe
State's got
that's why
that
it shut down.
money. That's why their
Now
whole
you.
team's gone.
Yeah. Apparently. All right. Do you want to start the first good thing to get
First
back
good thing,
here?
go
The whole
for
Tarek Skubal situation is getting better. You see him destroy some minor leaguers.
it. He's wearing the
Wilson.
James Harden fat suit though.
Yeah, he's a little bit fat, but so are some elite pitchers. So is CC Sabathia for a lefty.
Yeah.
But Skubal, he's fat. He's destroying some poor 18-year-old Dominican that just got told he's pitching against or betting against a Cy Young for a game. And then he can get traded, so we're gonna get to see Skubal in some real baseball here. Hopefully
Yeah, I
not the
heard
Dodgers.
Baltimore.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You heard maybe the Phillies or the Mets or the Yankees. Probably Yankees. I think if he went to the Dodgers, I think all the franchises would nuke Los Angeles along with my Angels. But
I mean, there's no baseball next year anyway, so the Dodgers might as well just go all in.
I don't see why not. I don't know what you have left. But Mookie's been slow. Maybe just 1 for 1. Let it happen. They're both old.
You can give up young AAA second baseman Ha-Sung Kim for him and call it good.
Yeah, there you go.
I
All right.
actually heard it was he was going to Colorado on a 1-for-1 for Tomoyaki Sugano.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe they can. There's nothing. You couldn't even remove all the organs in Sagano's body and sell them the dark market. You'd get half a year of Scooble.
Yeah.
All right.
My
Anyway,
number three. It's your favorite. The Big Ten doesn't make it to the CWS, headlined by UCLA being the second straight number one overall seed to lose in the regionals following Vandy last year. How good is the conference, Jack? Because the Big 12 almost stuck two teams in, but we got one.
I should have added my good one. How did Kansas do? They make their way in there. How's Oklahoma
Better
doing
than
in there?
Nebraska.
It's all the same place. It's at home. It's at home during Omaha week. Well, I don't like you. My second one was Trey Mancini's getting called up.
This is huge.
That's it.
We're big Trey Mancini
Former
guys.
cancer survivors. That's all.
Former
He's probably
Oriole.
yeah. He's getting called up to my Angels. We suck. We're not going to do anything else. Shout out Wade Meckler. That's it. That's all I got going on with the good. He's here. He's back.
Yeah. I feel like we need a Mancini jersey, you know?
He's actually back for the first time since we graduated high school.
Wow,
So
that's crazy. We're unk
yeah,
now. It's over.
it's been a minute.
My number two, speaking of the Big 12, it is West Virginia when they walked it off in regionals. in the black uniforms, the entire crowd blasting Take Me Home, Country Roads, and singing it, and ESPN just letting it kind of play out and not saying much over it. It was a super cool video to see. There's some sick photos that came out with the guy hitting the walk-off, standing in front of the dugout with his arms up and everyone behind him. It is absolutely fantastic to see, but sometimes, just letting the moment play out with just the true audio gives you the best moments.
Mhm. All right, my third one, and I really wish I would have dunked on the Big 12 somehow here, but it's just the greatest player to ever touch a baseball diamond is in the Cy Young race, too. The guy
Yep.
who's batting 300 with a 50-50 season is also in the Cy Young race now. He's number 3, and that would probably do it. You can end baseball forever. He won. He beat baseball.
Yeah, he just solved the game. It's pretty
Yeah,
pretty simple.
it's
I don't
too
know.
easy.
We're gonna develop the next Shohei Ohtani somehow. We'll find a way. My number one to end off the night, I'm going to give it to Troy Athletics. Baseball goes to the CWS. Football, Sun Belt champions. Men's basketball, Sun Belt champions. NCAA tournament appearance. Women's basketball is runner-ups and one game away from a tournament appearance. This is a big year for them. They're going to make a good amount of money. They're going to be able to spend an NIL on various sports. They're going to be able to stay relevant. And they're keeping all their coaches as well. That's the more important part. You bring a lot of players back, bring a lot of your coaching staff back. You put yourself as a mid-major in a great chance to succeed in sports where usually only the big dogs can do it.
They could probably go to the Big 12 football and win 8 games in a season. It's not too
Dude,
bad, not too hard.
they could probably compete with Nebraska, and maybe they use all this NIL money to keep Nebraska's streak alive.
It's possible. At this rate, we'll see. Maybe in 26, not in 27, with our
Maybe,
class coming in.
maybe. Well, I have been Casey Schiessler. Jack, thank you so much for joining me. It was an absolute blast. Have to have you on again sometime this summer. Any parting words for the fan base until your next time?
Well, I'll see you. Well, maybe for the picture when I get back on here after Ilya slimes down, we'll get a picture of Ilya we'll get a picture of Gaethje face down the canvas with his palms up, and then we'll get a picture of Alex Pereira with 3 belts, 2 on the waist there. But that's enough of UFC for now. Thanks,
Yeah,
Casey.
of course. Thank you for coming. Thank you everyone for listening. We will be back again this week with Grandpa Dan once again. More to come. Thank you for listening. That is all.